All right. How are we all doing? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Everyone's good.
So I'll just run through the house rules. Nothing fancy. If you're not talking, please mute your mics. There's no language restriction. Be as colorful as you want, but we just ask that you keep it respectful. As much as possible, we try to avoid personal battles, but just respect is the theme, really. All right, we got that?
Yes, sir.
We got it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, quickly. You know, the first wave, they said black people couldn't get corona. Remember there was that
1630.
there was that meme. Everyone was saying black people won't get corona. Now, black people have been more affected than other race.
Right.
So what happened there then?
Well, I don't know. I think, from my point of view, I think it was a lot of misinformation going out early, because there was no numbers, or our numbers were very low. So maybe it was a false positive where we felt like, oh yeah, we're immune. People were like, yeah, we're immune, but obviously we've seen we're not. And I think in order to get better prepared, we have to kind of put the information out so people are aware.
I don't feel there was any sort of, medical, scientific reasons as to why we felt we were immune. Maybe we just felt we were immune just because it just went viral that we were. And maybe that's why some of our guards were down. Not that explains the numbers of death. That's probably what happened then. We just circulated that news. Somebody just circulated that news. It wasn't official.
There were other claims they wanted to do testing in Africa. It was almost as though Africans were less affected, so they wanted to do the test to see why. Remember, the French guys were going to do that.
Yeah, well, that's the second thing I want to get into in terms of how this is now affecting Africa, and also the issue of vaccines, right? I had a question actually. There was a country in African country, I think it was is it Mozambique?
Senegal?
No, there's an African country who claimed Madagascar. Madagascar, yeah. Thank you. So they've apparently come up with a cure, but there is
not apparent, sir. They have a cure.
Well, it's apparent. I don't know. I've never tried it. I've never tried it. I've never tried it. Madagascar.
So like that, man. We've been working hard on this thing.
Yeah. Well, they have a cure. So what you got to say to that? Why don't we trust that? Or even I don't think
WHO would not endorse it.
WHO will not endorse it.
Why?
The West will not talk about it. They won't endorse it. That's why.
Well, what they've said, what the WHO has said is there's no proof, right?
Have they tested it?
I don't know.
So how do they come up with such?
If you know more on it, you can speak on it. I don't know that much on it. I came across it and I found it very interesting. I think one of the biggest thing, apart from the WHO endorsing it, is just people believe in it.
Bro, I've not tried it, but from what the guys are saying, and from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's working for the guys. Africans, we've always got natural remedies. Like I said, all the illnesses do have natural herbs and remedies to heal them. Straight facts. That's why the pharmaceutical companies would want to ban people from using, natural herbs or remedies to cure themselves, because they cannot profit from it.
Well, one thing I do know is similar to when Trump was touting chloroquine, and what a lot of the scientists were saying is anecdotal. Like they went quick to jump on that bandwagon, and in terms of I haven't researched it or I haven't looked into this deeply or not. In terms of what Madagascar is claiming, I want to see what kind of documentation or what kind of technical data they've been able to collect, and that's from my understanding how the WHO works. They would need to see that the technical data. They would need to understand. Okay, you can't just tell us you've got a cure for it. You have to show us, and which is fair. You have to show us your proof in order to get endorsement, right? Biopiracy is still an issue.
Yeah,
it's a real issue in Africa. They will take it and they'll take the active ingredients and trying to put it into package
Something
it
else.
into a drug, yeah, that they will sell to us. And I think the biggest issue here is we're more likely to trust Western medication than we are to trust our natural remedies.
Just a quick one, right? I don't know. Obviously, most of you guys probably, from in Nigeria or most African countries. When you're ill and you have like I think when you used to have either malaria or wherever it is, they used to give you this mixture. It's like a green, ground, like concoction which you drink. I forgot the exact name for it, but that it works and it clears the symptoms and the malaria quick time. So no one came around to say, okay, let's try and do scientific proof or try and investigate what ingredients are in there for it to actually work, because proof is in the pudding. It works. So those ancient old remedies we have still work.
But let me ask you this: would you take it?
Yo, standard, man. Shit. If it works, if I see proof that someone's had it and it's worked for them,
then that's the point, right? If you see the proof, if you see the proof, because So I think we have to move away from one thing, our packaging. We got to work on our packaging, and we've got to work on, again, the data. I think the data is very important because, like you said, when we were younger, we were forced to take this medicine, but there's no evidence. That's the point, and we need to step it up. Basically, we need to step up the way we present.
Charlie, you can't use that word. There's no evidence. You can say you've not found evidence. You can't say there is no evidence.
What's the difference?
Yeah, come on, there's no evidence means you've checked everywhere and there is no evidence. You're not finding evidence.
You haven't presented any evidence. Okay,
how
about you haven't presented evidence?
Gone around Africa? Have you gone around every African person and asked for evidence? Look, currently, the president of Madagascar is at war. Yeah, the old press is on this guy. They're saying to him, they're digging up dirt against him. Like, they're literally digging up dirt against this guy because they can't wait to tarnish this guy, bury his name, and then take all the words out of his mouth. They'll now associate it with whatever dirt they find, if they find anything. Look, rule number one: how did we get to the point where they're saying black people are more at danger of corona? Look at the continent Africa. We have the least death in the world. As a matter of fact, many countries do not even have any death. We have the highest rate of recovery in the world. This is data that I actually researched because of this meeting. So I keep saying to people, let everybody shut the F up if they say to me, black people. No, we're not. Sorry. Maybe in America, but to use the word black people, you need to go back to our country and then start from there, collect data, and then come back to my face and tell me black, because, bro, look at the numbers of white people that have died of corona. We're not even a fraction of that.
So it's two things. So one, if you're talking about black people, a lot of the data that's come out is black people in the West, right? In America and England, each one is giving their numbers, right? And black people are being affected a lot.
I'm not saying we are not being affected, but to put us right above, I haven't seen the data, bro.
Well, in those countries we are. Are you saying black people are not?
I think none of us have data to this topic, so we're gonna be wasting our time arguing back and forth.
So are you arguing on data now?
I'm saying because we do not have the real data, I'm gonna accept what you say, but it does not mean I agree with what you have said. I'm accepting it just to move on, because anything that is black, gets every kitchen sink thrown at it, and I am tired of it.
Okay, let me ask you this, Sammy. Sammy, let me ask you this: why is it that you believe the Madagascar president?
Oh, for Christ's sake! Because the guy's got one death. Today was the first time somebody died in Madagascar. Today. And it's because he has some serious underlying ailments. Madagascar has almost 90% people have recovered from COVID. Look, they even shipped the medication to Nigeria. They shipped it to other parts of Africa, and it's been working. I don't know what kind of proof you lot want. I got my wife pregnant. She had a baby. They would ask me, what's the proof? I don't know what kind of proof you lot need. I don't know. Like, what other proof do you need? The whole country can only account for one death, and he's had hundreds of people recover. What else do you need? Come on.
I mean, the more question
if that was France or America now, we will all believe it. Oh yeah, they do. Just one person have died. It's easy for us to doubt a black man, and it kills me. It hurts me. Now, when a black man is actually getting to the top, we're quick to pick up that news and be like, oh yeah, but Charlie, if that was the States that found anything and it worked and they gave you numbers that 900 people have recovered from COVID, you're not going to use the word allegedly. It would sink in your brain and you will buy it. That's my own frustration. So I'll accept what you lot are saying, but please don't be carrying that rumor about there is no evidence. No, you've not seen evidence. It's not the same as there is no evidence.
Okay, well,
and it begs.
It's not much.
I agree with Sammy that why is it that we have to wait for WHO? If it's something that I want to use on the continent, I don't think like it's necessary for us to get approval from a foreign agency that we don't understand what their interest is for us as people. That's my take on it. Why do we have to, get WHO? We don't know what the agenda is for black people.
As a matter of fact, the president of Madagascar says that all of Africa should be responsible for their policies because WHO has absolutely no regard for Africa.
No bearings.
That's what this guy is saying as a president. And I'm buying it. It's like, yo, look, don't come in now and ask me questions. Look, when Pfizer came into Nigeria, fucked over 100 kids, infected them, gave us 90 million, nobody spoke about it.
But yeah, I guess to your point is there is a general mistrust of anything that comes out of Africa.
That's all I'm trying to say. Done. That's my point.
So that's a big part of it, right? And even for us as Africans, right? Most people, they want the foreign medicine. You know what I'm saying? If it's coming from Africa, it'll be like, man, you can't trust it.
400 years of war, no be beans now. 400 years now. There's impact now. They fucked us in the brain for years.
Well, this is it though. We cannot keep playing. We cannot keep playing small, right? We have to step it up as well. So, like you said, even people.
That's why I'm starting from home now. That's why I've got to tell you to lift us up from inside, because I'm not gonna watch it, bro. You know something real quick? Let me say something real quick. You know who has worse packaging? Chinese people. I don't hear anyone criticize.
Not necessarily.
Have you seen
everything is made out of no.
Have you seen their drugs? Have you seen their packaging?
What, their natural stuff?
Yes, appalling.
Listen, everything right now, China set itself up as a manufacturing hub, right? So they make everything, whether good, whether bad. I tell people the same way. Check your spoon; it has a China printed on it. The same thing. If you're gonna say they have inferior stuff, check your iPhone. Like it doesn't get more like superior than that. Check your iPhone.
Charlie, can I say?
I said inferior.
So, like Lisa was saying earlier, in order for you to use any pharmaceutical medication, you will need to go through an approval process. In America, we have the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. In Nigeria, we have NAFDAC. In Europe, we have the EMEA, right? So that means if I want to sell drugs to Americans, it needs to be approved by the FDA. If I want to sell, as an American, if I want to sell drugs to Europe, the EMEA in Europe needs to approve it. In Nigeria, the NAFDAC needs to approve it, right? So what needs to happen is in Madagascar, it's like, what is the equivalent in Madagascar of the FDA, of the EMEA, of the NAFDAC? Once it's approved from that standpoint, they can use it for their local people in the country. If they now want to say, oh, this is helping us in Madagascar, it can help Americans that are dying in record numbers. It can help
to go through the approval process.
Then it will need to go through the approval process of the FDA, of the EMEA. You know what I'm saying? And it's as simple as that. When you're talking about packaging, it's more like we need to beef up our own approval process in Africa, so everybody can know that, listen, we go through a thorough process, quality assurance, safety measure has been considered for us to release these products?
Our dependency level on the existing systems of the world, right? Obviously, if you depend, there's no question there will be people that will bastardize any systems, that will abuse it, right?
Right.
Either they use it to steal or anything like that. But keep in mind that they still need us, either as consumers, or we can choose to fight our way into becoming producers of the systems. Well, I understand our frustrations and everything, but the entitlement mentality, which means we think we're supposed to get something because they're supposed to love us that much. Well, if we keep waiting forever, that's never going to happen. So we have to take responsibility. Frustrations, basically anger or anything like that. If your whole culture is driven by frustration, you will never get anywhere, because that's not how wars are won. You have to pay attention to what's going on in existing systems and then strategically find ways to get in there and then take over. And like you said, if they have a way of stealing what you found out and then repackaging it, they will always do that. But if you were in control of the police systems, like the FDAs, like the walls and stuff like that, and we have representation properly in those places, then those are the conversations we should be having.
I saw an interview the president of Madagascar gave. I saw it this morning, and they had asked, they asked a number of questions, and basically he said that they follow the protocols of clinical study and observation. They follow the WHO guidelines, and it seemed like, he made a good defense. I'm not a medical person now, but he made a very strong case, and every question that was thrown at him, he seemed to have an understanding of. He mentioned also that, because when they had asked about clinical trials, he responded that they didn't need to do clinical trials because it's not like a vaccine or anything. And that what proof do you guys need? Nobody has died in Madagascar. Not one person. The very first case of the virus was treated using this remedy, and at some point he now said, basically, he now pointed it out. Is it because we're the 63rd poorest country? Is it because we're a small country? Or is it because we're from Africa? Why would you not take us seriously? And from the interview, I gathered that no one had really showed any interest in the remedy except for dismissing it. It's not like the WHO has, like somebody asked earlier, has it been tested? Have they taken it as, okay, let's look at this remedy and see if it actually works. Let's not take your word for it. Let's not take the fact that nobody has died in your country and there's no case, or the fact that you're exporting it to other countries to help, but, because it's his interview, nobody's really going to answer the question. I do believe that natural remedies are very powerful because the body has the ability to heal itself. Everything that we need, God put on the earth. So all these natural remedies are effective. It's just that with modern lifestyle, we're taking in so many toxins. We're taking in there's so much that's combating what your body can naturally do. And it feels like we have to depend on supplements or medication. I'll say medication more than supplements. And even with the supplements, it's all in our fruits and vegetables. It's all in the food that we eat.
Absolutely.
So I think that what we have here is really, without talking about how the virus came about, it's more of an immunity problem that we have in the world. But people are only going to make money if they create a vaccine or a drug that helps helps us get rid of it, rather than ensure that people are eating properly and staying immune to all the millions and billions of viruses that already exist in the world.
While you were speaking, I actually looked at the Madagascan. It's called CVO, and it's well packaged. Yeah. It's a tonic. Yeah. It's a tonic in a bottle. And it looks good. It looks good.
Thank you very much. That just made me happy.
Why? Why? Because it looks good. I don't know.
The last thing we should be worrying about is the packaging. Actually, it's like
I know, right?
I think the packaging is very important. I think packaging is very important. Honestly, half the time we take this Western medication without knowing whether it works.
No, go to the
packaging is what sells us.
Go to the hospices right now.
But no,
go to the hospices right now. Go to the hospice right now.
Overall, this is the main appeal to Western medicine. It's the packaging. Let's be real. You can take a tablet.
The headache. The headache.
You can even capsules.
Taking medication for packaging.
Why do we take vitamins?
It's the headache.
Because it works.
Why do we take vitamins? You can go and eat the fruits. You can go eat all of this stuff. But it's packaged for you in a little capsule. It's convenient.
This is my vitamins, man. See, it's my vitamins.
Well, he's pushing it as a vitamin. He is pushing it as a vitamin, right? Because that's the way he can. It doesn't need that strict clinical research and FDA approval if it goes through and comes as a vitamin.
He said because it's natural herbs. It doesn't need that. It's not the same as a vaccine.
No, anything that's being touted as a drug has to go through a strict approval. If you're coming in
he didn't say it wouldn't go through a strict approval. He said it wouldn't go through the process of which they test vaccine because it's made of natural.
No, not just vaccines. It's drugs. Not just vaccines. There's a lot of companies.
I've actually got a copy of the interview.
Okay, yeah. Then you can send me that interview. I'll check.
Is it drug? Is it calling it a drug or is it calling it something for nutritional purpose?
Exactly.
It's a big difference.
But what's the fundamental difference between drugs and a cure? Because he kept saying it's a cure.
It's an approval process.
No, in terms of how it affects the body. Obviously, the approval system is to protect people, right? So what is the fundamental difference between something being a cure and a drug? Because you guys are throwing those words around quite a bit.
Yeah. So what is a drug? That's what you have to ask yourself, right? If it's processed and it's concentrated, that's a drug. You know what I mean? You go through biochemical mechanism, etc. But if it's a cure and it's just a natural remedy, then it's different. But you cannot label it as a drug. If you call it a drug, then the drug has to go through the process of the clinical trials. Even if they only got one case, like you can say, okay, 10 people have used this and this is the result. 50 people have used this. This is the result. I can't come and say, oh, if you drink this thing, it will cure you and everyone else should drink it. No, people are not going to take that chance. So that's the difference, calling in a drug as opposed to calling in a vitamin or whatever the case is.
Exactly.